Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the Vision for Us podcast. My name is Terrence,
I'm Angelica.
and we're
We're
the
the
Praters.
Praters.
So today's conversation is going to be on juggling business and family, how we prioritize our marriage.
It's a good topic.
That is, you look very sleepy.
I am. I'm a little tired.
You got to wake up.
I'm
You got to wake up for the people,
gonna wake up for the people. Y'all, I'm here.
for the PEOPLE.
Yeah, but if we're being real, Mama gets tired. And so do you, but
No, I'm wide awake.
okay.
I get tired when the kids get home.
I know. He immediately catches I'm exhausted as soon as the kids walk in the door. And he's all energetic, like, let's go do this, let's go do that. And
As soon as them kids walk in, like,
he want to go narcolepsy
Yeah.
automatically. I don't know what's that about, but
okay.
all right. So let's get into the topic because we can go off on a tangent. So let's get into how are we even doing this, juggling, building a business? Because let's be clear, there are some people who might be watching this. You have already built a business and y'all in the struggle bus of trying to figure out how do you have kids or, take care of your kids, or you are even in a fear of even having a family because you're like, the business is doing good. But we want to have kids. So this conversation will definitely be for you guys. All right. Now when it comes to juggling, juggling anything, right, is basically about finding a balance. And it's really prioritizing or finding a flow. I like to call it finding a flow.
Kind of in the flow, because it's not really, you can't really balance. I mean,
not at all.
finding the flow.
It's definitely finding a flow. I think that is the normal language. Oh, how do you balance business and some people could be in ministry, that could be their business. How do you do it all? And I remember one time when I was doing a client's hair and she was telling me all the stuff that she was doing. I was like, how do you do it? And she was like, everything isn't a priority. I don't do all of those things at one time. It's just all the responsibility that I have when it comes to being in life right now in this season.
It's a rhythm and flow.
A rhythm and flow. But I think the main priority for us was determining what we were saying no to.
That is very important.
Yeah. And I think for me, I'm a recovering yesaholic. So when we got together, people were like, oh, you want to come here? I'm like, yeah. Oh, you want to come here? Yeah. And I didn't say yes to a lot of people, but it was particularly certain people that are in your life that may have graduated with you from the single season into my married season. So they were used to me being available for certain events or certain things. And so I had to figure out how to start saying no. You don't care. You just be like, nope, not doing it.
Sure. In a heartbeat.
And no explanation.
Nope. No explanation needed.
Yeah. And
no is my no and my yes is my yes.
Yeah. And that was hard for me because
you take it or you don't.
Yeah, I used to watch him just say no. And I'm waiting for like, what is he going to say after? And he just like, no, can't do it. Or no, I'm not going to be able to do it. And then that would be it. But I'm like, you don't give them no room to even ask why you can't. You don't discuss it. You don't even do no body language. It's just like, no.
What?
Yeah. So I learned from him, but then I think it was learning how to say no and what to say no to. He did it easy. It did not come easy for me because I transitioned from available or single into marriage quickly, that I just didn't understand the nuances of what it took to find a new rhythm and flow for us as a family.
How quickly? How quickly did you go from single to married with me?
A year. So we didn't have a long engagement.
No.
We didn't have we got married, we got engaged and married in a couple of days. Yeah. It was good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Engaged and married in a couple of days.
And in the hospital, giving birth to Genesis.
Yes. Yeah. So it was a lot for us. But we're here now. We made it.
Well, we didn't make it yet.
No. Well, we did make it. We are here making it and talking to the people.
Right.
That's what I meant by making it.
Okay.
Let me clarify.
Yeah.
So with that being said, I think that the first thing is determining what you're going to say no to in whatever season that you are in. So the season that we're currently in is a season of us, right? We're not figuring out what we're doing. We're on the same page. And I think in every season, you need to start having that conversation to say, okay, in this season, maybe you're in school, or maybe you're going back to, somebody is like prioritizing a certain area in their life. So at one point he was in school, and that meant I was going to take on certain responsibility, but I also need to know what no's were we not doing in that particular season. At one point we were paying off debt, and that was the focus. And there were events that were going to be coming up in my family, and my family is the celebration queens and kings.
Celebrate everything. I had to get off the family. No disrespect, but I had to get off the family chat. I had to get off of it.
He said, your family celebrates everything.
Taco Tuesday is donut day, coffee day. It's like, geez.
We love to celebrate. We love up on each other very well. And I think that was different for you coming to a family that celebrated each other for everything. We are very close.
Okay.
Yeah. But that's not what this episode is about.
Still
run off that.
So one of the first questions that I want to ask you, and we can go on discussion about, is how do we schedule date nights and family nights?
So in this season, we're at a season where we're not going out. We're not doing a lot of stuff. We actually moved to a place that allows us to walk, the walkability to pretty much everything, because we understood that, we'll get into that another topic, but how we ended up here. But where we are today, everything is walkable. So there's restaurants for us to walk to. There's a lot of different things. So for us, it's not so much going out. It's about being intentional time that's just for us. And that has been the leading charge from you, right? Because I'm like, we get it in when we fit in. That's how I was going about it when we first got together.
And then we get in, and when we fit in, it's gonna be 6 months later.
Yeah. So, and he's like, nah, I need my time together. I don't think that people talk about this part. You grieve, and this is what people won't say or be truthful about it. You grieve the version of it just being you two. Although you love having a family, finding the nuances of it just being you guys without talking about kids, without talking about business, without talking about just having fun, you grieve that part because you have to fight. It's not really fighting, but you have to prioritize our time.
I can see that.
And I think in a marriage, it's very easy for that to become the last on the agenda,
Well,
especially
if both people allow it. If both parties in the marriage allow it, then yes, it will become a last priority.
I think so. But I know from me, it was just like, the kids need this, the kids need that. We need this. This is the season that we're in. It was very hard for us to figure, for me. You were like, nope, every 3 months I want to be going somewhere. He wanted a staycation. And he's like, if you have a community, you need to, if we trust them equally, then we needed to ask that community and make it a priority and say, hey, well in advance, that these are the date nights that we wanted to have. And that actually was a saving grace. At the time, I'm like, I'm going to leave my baby, all of that other stuff. I went through all of that. But it made a world of a difference. And we've kept that momentum going. And I think my kids now, they're just like, bye, mom, you going on a date? Like, they could care less because they are used to us prioritizing each other. And I think at some point, our kids are not going to be our kids anymore.
Right.
So once they get their life, it's going to be like, hey, how you doing? Do I know you?
Yeah.
And I didn't want that. So
I definitely don't want that.
No, we definitely. So the prioritizing was, number one is prioritizing what's no in that season. And then for us, our date nights look very different because we're at a different season. So we can sit on the couch, get our shows going. I'll make some brownies.
Law and Order.
Yeah, that's us right now.
FBI.
Yeah.
What else?
House shows, which keeps us dreaming. Like what type of house we want or what we want to build, or we'll listen to some podcasts as well. So our date nights is mainly formed around conversations, but things that we can do together. And
we have more so when we do go out, it's during the day.
Yeah.
Dates while the kids are in school, which that won't be next year.
No, so we definitely gonna have to get creative.
Yeah, we're gonna have to get creative, but no dates. because I don't really too much like being out in
At
these
night.
streets at
Yeah.
night.
No.
Crazy folks.
And then like when we are, like if we go on vacation, we normally do like a staycation or somewhere not too far just because of the season that we're in. But when we prioritize that, which we try to do every 3 months, right? Or per quarter, to go somewhere, just him and I, no kids. And we be like, yeah, we're gonna have a ton of fun. We be
knocked out. Or we're in a space where we ask the grandparents to take them, and then we just stay here.
Yeah.
And just, yeah.
Yeah. And it's just sometimes you might stay at home, but your kids could be with the grandparents. And as long as you are comfortable with your kids staying with them or whoever you decide, it makes a world of a difference. But I love my in-laws. I have great in-laws and they are great. So I don't have a problem. And my kids be ready. They be like, why are you still here? Like, bye.
As soon as we get in the house, it's just like,
Yeah.
they get away with a lot more over
And
there.
that's fine. I don't even care. They grandparents for a reason. Let them stay in their grandparent lane. I stay in my parent lane. And I'm good. And it's a match made in heaven. The kids love it. They get spoiled over there. And then they come home and it's a little bit more strict and more rigid for them.
How would you say let's say one of the spouses want to do family time and the other spouse wants to do date, like just her and him, or him and her?
Well,
how would do you prioritize it?
I think that family time is just as, let's define what family time is, because a lot of families right now are on their phones, and because the kids are in the same room with them, they call that family time. That's not family time. Not at all. So for us, family time.
How do you get past that though? You have to be intentional. You have to remind each other to put the phones down.
That is a part. At one point, he bought a whole lockbox. He was like, he's very extreme, and you guys will find out as every episode. He's very extreme. He's either up or down. Like there's no in between. I can do the middle ground or whatever, but he had bought a lockbox. Like, we gonna put our phones in here and all this stuff. And I'm like, dude, I can just put the phone in the drawer and I'll be fine. Like it's not a big deal. But there was one time I was doing something. We were supposed to be hanging out with the kids, and both you and I was kind of looking at our phones for business stuff because we didn't cut off the conversation. And Journey was asking, she's like, you're on your phone. She just got so upset. And I'm like, you're right. I'm not paying attention. My phone is not. We already did enough business stuff. There's nothing that we can do. So we fall short as well. Like it's not easy, but we are intentional. So our family time, they love like doing the movies, but the movies are crazy now. So we have to like
kind of hard to find
family movies. Yeah. So we have to scan them first to see what type of content's in there, because they're sneaking in subtle. And you have to protect your kids' ears and eye gates. So we're intentional about that. So family time, but now the kids are more into activities. And as far as like my daughter, she wants to skate, like Journey wants to skate. Genesis is into skateboarding. So it forces us to get out and go do something that's intentional with them instead of sitting here on the couch or doing those things. Family walks are tons of fun for them. They love it. They'll be on their scooters. And then we're walking with them.
Is that really walking with them scooting? That's not really walking.
Well, we get our steps in while they will try to keep up with them. They love it.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah. The whole point is you have to define what your family time looks like for you.
Right.
And I noticed that people in family time, like we'll capture a picture or a couple of fun little things. That's just what we do. But after that, the phone is kind of away.
Yeah.
Because I realize that we are not just raising them to be great human beings. We're also setting the foundation of what family time looks like for them. So we like to play games as well. So Genesis was into, what was it, the Pop It game? He wanted to play it over and over and over. So just being intentional, and that's when you can have conversation. Also family time for us, it might be old school and traditional, but we sit down as a family always together to eat dinner. Yeah, that's huge for us. And on the weekends, it is the same thing. We eat breakfast together as a family. Well, brunch, because mama sleeps in. I'm sorry. Then I had to tell the kids, I'm sorry, you guys will have to fast. And they got upset, but I'm like, I have to stick to my word.
What was that, a couple weekends ago, where you said, I'm not cooking Sunday. I'm not cooking breakfast Sunday morning.
Yeah.
And the kids was like alarmed because they were like, who's going to eat us?
It's like you have a whole nother parent who will feed you, and that's fine. So I think you just have to be intentional with what your family time looks like and make it a priority. That means that husband and wife or couples, you are determining and saying our phones are away. We're not reading. Facebook is not a part of the family time. It's like, oh, look at this. No, that's not family time. That's for us. That might not, maybe that works for you. Let us know in the chat. What does your family time look like? Because I know what it looks like for us, but I think that phones become a distraction.
It does.
And I don't think
you can get really caught up in social media, especially when you're running a business. Like
facts, you got to know when to turn it off.
Yeah, and that includes also even when the kids go to bed.
Yeah, does the phones come out because you got to be in touch with the world? And I think that a lot of times, because social media, you can talk to your friends, you can be with so many people are in your day, because so it's easy to really, you're not even connecting with your spouse or who you're with at that moment in time. Like, I cannot stand when I go out with friends and everybody's on their phone. It's like, what is the point of being at dinner if everybody's gonna be on their phone? I might as well not. I could be home scrolling. I don't have to be in a place scrolling with you and watching you and like, look at this TikTok video. It's like, you don't know how to have a conversation. The fact is,
Mother's Day, when we went to that restaurant on Mother's Day,
and every couple was on their phone.
Kid and couple, we were like the only ones without any tablets or phones.
Yeah,
it was a little strange.
It was strange because we were looking, and even our kids was looking around. It's like, because it makes us have dialogue. It makes your kids have communication with you. We went out with a couple before and they were on their phones, and it was like, what is the point of us even being out on a double date with you guys if you're going to be on your phone? So, it's just, everybody lives differently, but I don't think that people want to tell the truth that our phones have become a part of our relationship. Our phones has become what we're addicted to, and nobody will tell the truth that it's like the third person in your relationship. And we don't have barriers with our phone. Like, he can go on my phone, my password. We are free in our relationship.
We can lay it down anywhere and not have to worry about, hey, why you my phone?
Nope. Why you in my? No, he can go through my social media. First of all, you were my brand manager, so what I'm hiding in the first place? And so, when I was doing it by myself, you were a part of everything. So I just didn't want to be in a marriage where there was secrets. It's just like, we just tell it how it is, and it doesn't matter how uncomfortable. So I think for us, prioritizing what was the foundation for us, and then what type of kids we wanted to raise. That was important for us.
When we first started out, we did get them tablets and give them tablets, and we realized that was just unnecessary for them.
Well, the tantrums, like when you took it from them and you seen the stronghold that they had on that thing, it was like they didn't know what to do without it. And we had limited time for them. It wasn't like, oh, you can have it for hours on hours on hours. And I introduced Genesis to it because when you went back to work after I had him, I would put on the ABCs on the phone instead of me being intentional of buying the flashcards, letting him see it. Now, I did the combination, but it was easier because it could be on my phone. And so I would give him the ABC, the videos and stuff like that. But then when I realized, I think it was like a commercial when we had Journey, I had got off of social media altogether. I said, I'm going to be intentional about raising these two kids. And I wasn't on any social media until Journey was 3. I still had like my Facebook and stuff, but I wasn't posting. I didn't have it on my phones. And the only social media at that time was YouTube, which I'm a huge fan of YouTube. That's
that's our goal. If it's not our TV shows, then we go to YouTube.
Yeah. So, but we'll digress because we can go down the rabbit hole with YouTube University.
What about aligning business goals with family values?
Oh, so I think that when you are building a business, you have more power and more control over how the business is developed. And I'll clarify that. One of the things about starting a business is that it gives you the freedom. But most people start borrowing a version of business from, once again, the phone, the internet, what you think business should look like. And I'll give you guys a prime example. When I transitioned from being a hairstylist to the coaching space, I started consuming so many different versions of what a coaching business should look like. instead of saying, okay, I am going to be coaching blank. These are the people I want to help. I'm going to focus on that, the business, not what the industry norms. Now, definitely market research, but what made me different and what made me unique at the time was the fact that I, as a hairstylist, I ran my business a certain way. That was my unique value proposition. But it wasn't, and it aligned with my life. I knew that I didn't want to work more than 4 days a week. So what I did was, hey, I work these days, these hours. It was very intentional, so that when my family had events or when I wanted to travel, I knew exactly when I wanted to travel. I think when you're in the beginning, they tell you hustle, grind it out to build a business, which is why I don't like that. And when you're doing business God's way, you don't have to hustle that way. You can work less. You can be intentional with the hours that you're putting in and then be off. That whole 24 hours a day or hustle till the wheels fall off. No, I didn't subscribe to that. And I didn't do that when I was a freelancer hairstylist. I didn't do that either. So when I got to the place where I opened a brick and mortar salon, I set hours. I took a certain amount of clients. And even when I was in the building stages, when I didn't have one client, I was there. Those were my working days. Just because no clients were on the books, I still showed up to the business. Okay. So I think it should align with where you are in that stage. Now, for our family, what we're building right now is it's around our family unit.
Right.
And if it doesn't require, my yes outside of someone asking me to speak or asks you to do something, if it's in our business hours, no, we cannot do that. Right. And so it aligns with the values that we have. Our family is our first priority. It's God, family, then business. And that was something that you kind of like, we need to dial that in.
Yeah. And dial it back, especially when we had the kids.
Yeah. And it took some time.
Yeah.
For you, what was it like? You were very clear on your values, on what you wanted our family dynamics to be. I was a little disobedient, y'all. Wasn't doing a good job. But you were patient with me.
Right.
And so for you, what was the values that was like adamant for you as the man, the head of our household? What was like the non-negotiable for you?
Our time together. Hey, she put me on the spot. I didn't know she was gonna ask me this question. Non-negotiable. Family is first. Our vacations or anything, dates, comes first. Our time together. What is other non-negotiable?
Notice he said our time together because he like a lot of time.
I do. As you should.
As you should. No, it's fine.
So, what else? That is non-negotiables. I think after we worked this in, I mean, it took us some time, but after a certain time, phones go down, things of that nature. Now, to caveat off of that, now, if I'm up after she falls asleep, I will play around, schedule some posts or things of that nature. But for the most part, our phones are down at a certain time. So, and just being available for each other, not allowing business to come before anything else. Money come before anything else. Money is important. Not saying it's not, but like you said, God, family, and then the business.
Yeah. And that once you kind of solidified that, it wasn't like, for me, fitting God, I was fitting my time with God in. Your journey with your relationship with God looks very different than my journey with our Father, because it's an individual walk. Even though we are a family,
she gets still up at 5 a.m.
I do.
To God, pray to God. I be hearing her sometime whispering. She talking to the Holy Ghost over there.
Yes. And that wasn't always the case. I was not a morning riser.
No.
But I realized in order for me, it started to make my day so much more peaceful. And then started going to bed at a certain time too. Like me not trying to marry he could stay up and he's a Marine. So you're trained to get 6 hours of sleep. Mama don't work like that. I'm tired. And the kids call me more than they call him, which now he got a taste of it because we both home together. They be like, if I don't answer, they go right to him. And he's like, they're calling me nonstop. Welcome to the club. This is what that unity look like. Okay. But, for me, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning spending time with God and not fitting the time in makes a world of a difference from my relationship with God. This season of my life, I didn't want to say, oh, I want the business, I want everything, but I want to put God on the back burner. I wanted to be intentional with, I opened my eyes this morning. I'm going to reverence the fact that God has opened my eyes. So that's important to me. So having that daily devotional time with him, and that's important. And then getting the kids, then starting my day with them, and we starting that time together.
Yeah, I did realize when I was getting up early in the morning, taking that personal time to yourself, whether it be reading or anything. Like I used to get up early in the mornings to read and then drink my coffee, listen to my jazz before starting anything else. Plays a big difference because you feel like you're doing something for yourself before getting into the thick of things with kids and family.
Absolutely. So I think it's prioritizing the time is also critical when you are looking for that balance, and how do you do it all? You don't, unfortunately, I was very rebellious in this area too. I was like, I don't want to be on a schedule. Like I should just figure it out, right? But figuring it out, it costs you.
Yeah.
It costs you. It costs your health. It costs all those different things. And I was like, one day I was waving and the arm was just moving as I was waving. And Journey said to me, Mommy, your arm is moving. And I was like, that I've never experienced, but I also wasn't making my health a priority as well. And so I think it really came down to being on a set schedule. And I did not like that because I'm like, I don't want to be on a schedule. I want to schedule my whole life. But I realized in order for us to do the things that we were called to do as a family, and we wanted to prioritize family time, and we had to get on a schedule. And that's the only way you're going to find that balance or find that rhythm, is that you guys intentionally have to sit down and go over the schedule. Now,
that flow. Yes,
finding that flow. What does it look like when the other person in the marriage, male or female, does not want to conform? They are the person that has to be, maybe out, or want to just be more social than the other person. How would you talk to that particular person and just be like, you got to get on a better schedule?
I mean, I would say it like that. You have to get on a better schedule, or then we won't be able to do everything that we're trying to do.
Because once you define your goals as a family,
right,
then it's
easier to schedule and balance everything. Like we wouldn't be here today if we didn't sit down and say, okay, what are our goals?
Yeah.
And then how do we fit our own personal goals and the goals and the vision for our family, the vision for us?
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to schedule or have a schedule.
Yeah. No.
Yeah, you're finally realizing that a schedule is important.
Yeah, I was very rebellious, y'all.
Look, which
I couldn't stand it.
What was that, last year when you went to New York?
I think it was 2 years ago now. We're at 2 years.
Almost 2 years. Right? 2023 is when you went to,
I think so. Yeah.
New York for 3 weeks.
Yeah, Mama was by herself. That was the first time with no kids and
no kids for 3 weeks, and I had the kids to myself, and I had them on a rigid set schedule. By the time 7:00 came, they had already eaten dinner. Kitchen was clean. All the lights was out. They were in the bed.
Yeah.
She didn't like that schedule. She was just like, well, what about what I or
Yeah.
Yeah.
I still was on that eye.
Yeah. It's like we
Yeah.
we like 6 years, 7 years in this, and you talking about still
Well, the thing was, you left me out of the plan, right? He had this schedule, and it's like, you get in where you fit in. That's how I felt at that moment. Because I'm like, what if somebody calls me? He's like, you don't take calls during work hours. If you were doing hair, you wouldn't take client. You wouldn't just take these random calls. You would just see that phone and keep it moving.
All right.
You have to do the same thing at home, working from home. You can't treat it like you're available. So-and-so want to sit on the phone for an hour with you because they want to tell you their life story. That's access. You should treat it the same way as you were treating the hair, like my hair business. And I was not. And so it took me some time. And then when he jumped ship and he was like, well, forget it. I'm not doing no schedule. Right. He got in a little attitude and got a little salty. And then I'm like, this is not working. It feels chaotic in here. I was like, wait, this is crazy. Like, I'm like, wait, did I cook today? All of the other stuff. And so that's when I realized the scheduling works. And it doesn't have to be, I think the way he articulated it sounds crazy. But when we actually kind of figured out, yeah, because you're very rigid.
It doesn't sound crazy.
You
The kids,
you are a Marine.
the kids loved it.
They thrive. I mean, I got to thrive in it.
Whole household thrived.
It did.
We had someone living with us, and he was surprised the whole time when she was gone. The whole time when he came in the house was shut down.
Yeah.
He's like, "What? Wait a minute." Kitchen was clean, food was put up, everything. So, yeah.
Yeah. So it definitely makes a world of a difference being on a schedule. So whatever your schedule is, sit down, have that conversation. If you're not on a schedule, you got to ask yourself the real questions. Am I living in chaos right now?
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of times you don't want to have those hard conversations even with yourself. And that's when I was like, this is chaotic. Like, I'm cooking. I feel like I'm in the kitchen all day. I feel like I'm not getting anything done because I didn't have like dedicated times. And then I'm rushing to everything. That feeling of rushing, I don't enjoy. So, and it's not fun for my kids. It's not fun for my marriage. Or by the time I get on the couch to do date night, I'm asleep.
Yeah.
Gone.
So aligning business goals with family values is very important.
Facts.
Very important. Do you think we do a good job with aligning business goals with family values?
So I think that we're still on that quest of what is our business. Well, I would say we are much better because we are very clear of the one business that we're building. Right. And if you watch last episode, you know that we've done multiple things. Right? So since we're building one business and we blew up everything else, it's easy to focus on, okay, this is the business, these are the hours, this is what the kids are going to be doing, this is what we're doing, this weekend we're going to visit the grandparents, whatever. I think it's easier to plan, even down to content. Like, this is easy because we don't have to come here and just figure it out. Like, it's creating systems. Once again, creating a system around your business, your life.
Well,
I think
it's also not scripted too.
Yeah.
Some points that we want to hit on the topics, but it's not scripted. So.
Yeah, it just makes it easier. So it always comes down to a schedule. Like, if you want to hit whatever that milestone in your life, you have to have a plan and a strategy to get there. Okay. You don't just stumble into it.
How do you think couples can balance work and personal life? Boundaries.
Oh, the boundaries. Oof. So boundaries, I think that has to be defined individually first. Because if whatever family member would call, like my grandmother, she has access. I will always answer the phone for my grandma.
Mm-hmm. Should.
Yeah. Grandma gets privileges. My in-laws get privilege too, because sometimes if they have the kids or whatever, they are priority on the list. Mm-hmm. So I had to define what my personal boundaries were. Now, as far as friends and stuff like that, I had to realize that I just can't be on the phone. I'm just not in that season where I can be kikiing on the phone and listen to every problem that someone has. Mm-hmm. And so that's a whole nother topic. But I think you have to define your personal boundaries first, and then come together as a couple, because your boundaries is like, I'm just not answering my phone. Like, you don't care. Nobody has priority but me. That's it. He's like, look at the phone. They're not dying. Like, and it's not, don't get me wrong, y'all. He is very compassionate, but his boundaries, or even your emotional boundaries, like, I'm not at a place where I want to be dumped on.
Right.
I'm just not the person that I allow people to dump on me, or it's not that I don't care. I'm just, your mental space is very different, and you protect that. You protect that like a fort. Mm-hmm. Like, nope, not today.
Now, I do have a best friend that just lost his mom, so I will answer the phone for him when he calls. Mm-hmm. But if it's not you or him or my dad or mom, I'm not much. My sister Courtney can. Yeah, I pretty much pick up for her. But, sometimes she goes through the same stint where she's not picking up, because you don't want that energy into your space.
Or just interrupting your pattern. Yeah, that's it. Sometimes it's not personal. It's just, I'm in a pattern. I'm in a rhythm. If I was working I would not,
Mm,
we are working, but
right.
we have time.
Yeah.
And so it's like I can't do what I used to do. So I think it's prioritizing the boundaries. And then you have to lay out what are the boundaries, because I would say I would commit to a boundary and then I would renege on it. I'm like, but this person called or this one texts me, and I'll just find myself. And then it'd be an hour later and I didn't get anything that I
Anything
done.
done.
Yeah. So I think for us, we had to, he helped me create boundaries. Let us know in the comments, like, what are some boundaries that you set for your marriage?
Now, what I do like, um, one of the people we watch is Myron Golden,
Yes.
and he only has a certain few people he pick up the phone.
Hmm.
He's like, if you're not paying me $40,000, his time is valuable.
Yeah.
I'm not getting on the phone.
Mm.
Pay me, but other than that, those few people that he has, he'll pick up the phone for. But everybody else, you got to pay me for my time.
Yeah. Especially when you're in a consulting business, that might not be your business. But I think that
I think even if you're not in a consulting business,
mm,
in any type of business, your time is money. And especially if you have a spouse, and you have kids, you know, that you're taking away from
mhm.
time from what should be the most important thing.
Well, time is our greatest asset, and how we spend it, we don't replenish it.
Right.
We
We
get
don't
24 hours
we
every
don't
single
we
day,
don't get that time.
but it's not promised.
No, it's not promised, and we don't get that time back. So you have to make memories with the people that are most important to you during those 24 hours, because
Hmm.
you never know when
When your clock is done.
your clock is done.
But here's the thing that, some people don't, I wouldn't say some people, I would say for myself, I realized that when I was answering the phone for everybody and
Mm,
all that stuff, it came from a place of like not looking at your life as like fun or whatever. It's just like, let me just see, I'm thinking of this person, or the person called and I'm just going to pick up, and you can screen and what friends you got that's going to be calling
mm,
for. Some people want to drop some tea, some people want to just dump on you and say whatever. That came from a place of not just appreciating where I was.
mm.
And so since I wasn't appreciating where I was, I'm like, let me just um go into allow other people, so it's like gets me away from what I was thinking of my own life. So I think that boundaries is something that you're constantly reinventing. It's like you set these boundaries and another season might change. And then you gotta say, okay, what are these boundaries?
Yeah.
Like that's where I was.
Okay. What is the importance of daily check-ins, the intentional daily check-ins, not just daily check-ins, but intentional daily check-ins? I think they're important.
You do. I mean,
You can
I mean,
do that face like you do.
no, you do. That's important to you. You want me to be like, oh, are you good? Or whatever the case may be. And sometimes I'm not even thinking that, but I think you do have to be intentional, especially when you work with your spouse, right? Um, and outside of like, oh, did you make this phone call? Did you talk to this person? Outside of that, it's like, no, how are you doing? I know for you, you need to go to the gym. Like you need to work out. That's your check-in for you. You need that because you are better when you do that.
Right.
Um, my check-ins are which at one point when we got together, it was very sweet. He'd be like, did you eat? Did you drink water? And then it came into my ear gates was hearing offense. And it was like, why you asking me did I drink water? Why did you ask me if I eat? Like it just got real reckless out of nowhere. So that was one thing. But I think whatever your check-ins are, whatever those things, like we make sure that, okay, we eat lunch at a certain time so that nobody's saying I didn't eat today.
Right.
Um, just whatever those things are, I think you have to prioritize it. Once again, it's just being intentional. So I think checking in, how are you feeling? Like there was one day, there's a couple of times during the month, I am just white. There's nothing more I can give. I can't work how he can go. So he'll just say, let's take the day off and sleep. And the times that I've tried to push myself, it is a wreck.
Yeah.
It's just not good. So because we have a schedule,
Mhm.
it's easy for me to say, this day I fire myself. And he will give me permission to just say, go lay down, do what you got to do. And I'll find, he can pick up the slack. So I think those daily check-ins.
And vice versa.
Yeah, when it's just like, just take the day and
Yeah.
we'll recover tomorrow. Like that's the, God willing, we'll recover tomorrow.
Right.
So
Yeah,
I,
you can I didn't have that in the Marine Corps,
no,
so you can't do that.
but that's the beauty of entrepreneurship, right?
Yeah,
That's the beauty of building a business around your lifestyle.
okay.
Yeah.
So it's very important to be intentional with check-in.
Yes. So I would definitely say if you are not checking in on your spouse, maybe you guys are fighting to not fighting, but you are pursuing the entrepreneurship journey and it's not looking pretty. Just sit down and ask yourself, okay, did I even ask him, how are you doing? Or her, how are you doing? Like, are you even enjoying this process? Like
Right.
you can have those conversations and just be like, this don't feel pretty. Like I'm not feeling it. And entrepreneurship, I say this all the time, has a way of becoming a mirror of your flaws
Mm,
all the time. So if you deal with the spirit of rejection, like 9 times out of 10, if you get on a sales call and doesn't go well, and it could change your whole mood.
mm,
So it definitely, if you deal with the spirit of like mammon, like I got to make this money, nothing wrong with making money. But if that is a driving force for your business, you are going to find yourself that when it tanks or when it's, because entrepreneurship is
absolutely.
ebbs and flows. So if the revenue is up and then the revenue is down and that changes your mood, it's going to change your mood in your marriage. Is that worth it? So those check-ins are very intentional. And that's in every area, whatever goal that you wanted to accomplish outside of business. Hey, I want to lose weight. Maybe y'all doing it together or maybe you're doing it separate. Just be like, how's the fitness going? How's this going? I host a women's prayer group and I also host a family's prayer group
Mhm.
once a month. And every time I get off, he'll ask me, how did it go? And I'm like, why does he have to be, how did it go? It's prayer. Um,
Yeah.
but that's his way of checking in and just saying, I support what it
Well,
is
it's
that you're
all
doing.
exactly. I was just about to say it's a
Hmm.
way of me supporting
Yeah.
what you're doing.
And then sometimes I don't even want to have a whole dialogue, but it's the fact I wasn't seeing it from that perspective. I was seeing it like, why are you asking me? But that's those type of things. And
Which
even when we are not on the same page,
mhm,
what we started doing is, because I'm a solution orientated and so is he at certain points. And he's like, I didn't need a whole explanation. I don't need you to go into that. This is just me venting. And then I know just shut my mouth and then let him say what he needs to say. He don't need no solutions. He just want to vent. And I think that allows us the space of knowing how to support each
mhm.
other. So it gives us that room.
All right. Well, that
Mm.
brings me to my next question. Keeping God at the center of your decision making, and you're pretty much better than in that.
No, because you not gonna just scare you all this way. I'm like, yeah, that's how lame, like I said. And no, you gonna start to answer some of these questions. You
No,
can't just
I'm
be
answering the questions too.
you answer,
I'm
but you gonna
answering.
answer.
I have been answering the
Okay.
questions too.
So what was the question?
Keeping God at the center of decision making.
So I grew up in church,
Yes, you have.
right?
Church girl.
Yes, definitely labeled
I
the church
didn't.
girl. No,
Uh,
he did it, which now is a good thing. And I'm gonna explain why is God the most important, right? A lot of us know a version of God.
well, keeping God the center of your decision making.
So I'm gonna get to that point.
Oh,
I just gotta set it up.
okay.
Let me set it
All
up.
right, go
Okay.
ahead.
Yes. So I thought I was making decisions that were of God, but I didn't know God for myself, the characteristics of God. And when good opportunities would come, I'm like, oh, this must be from God, right? Like, you over church, overdo this must be good, right? Because you're looking at the fruit of what you're gonna get,
Mhm.
right? But what does it look like when an opportunity comes? I had to realize that my family in this season is what God gave me
Right.
to steward over.
Okay.
And so if I'm taking every opportunity, but I'm not here with my child or with my marriage or intentional, then those opportunities are pulling me more away
Mhm.
because I want this success over here, but I don't want the success of my family. So I said all that to say how important it is for God to be in every decision. It is the ultimate decision. And so I now, when you say, oh, she get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, every opportunity, I'm like, God, if it's not from you, if it doesn't align with my family, if it doesn't fall in place with my family, then God, show me something
Mhm.
that allows me to not say yes to this. Because this feels good, but if it's going to hurt my marriage, if it's going to hurt the kids or any type of way, then then I don't want it.
Mm.
Right. And so that's why it's important to, number one, understand the relationship you have with God. Number two, it's very important to know who God is for yourself so that you don't take everything, because the devil will send great things too that looks great, but they're counterfeits. And so, for instance, remember all of those speaking engagements that I kept getting, but it was a conflict for our family. It wasn't aligned. When God sends you something, he's a person of order and decency. But when you are churched and you like, oh, it's got to be from God, you're ignorant because you don't know him for yourself. You're not studying the word to know him for yourself. You're letting somebody preach to you, and then you feel good like a church junkie, and you're listening to all these cliches, but you're not in relationship. So I said all that to set that up, because I grew up in church, but I didn't know God for myself. I put him in pockets. And so when I wanted to be like, I'm on fire, when I wanted my salon, I was devoted to understanding him. I got it and I was like, okay, I'm gonna go to church every Sunday, but where was my relationship? So there was a lot of decisions and bad decision making that I made because I did not keep him at the center of my life.
Okay. I can understand that.
Now, you ain't getting off on this one. He's trying to run, right? He don't want to, he's like, I'm not getting. How important for you as the head of our household, this has nothing to do with your walk, but as the head of our household, when we did not keep God at the center, what were the results that we yielded?
Not too good of results.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not too good of results.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that, and not being completely honest with each other, and telling each other how we honestly feel about whatever situation is going on, and not keeping God in the center of the decision making didn't go too well. Just to remember, we were watching, I forgot what we were watching on YouTube. Was it Myron Golden? I think it was. I think it was. And you were on.
Shout out to Myron. We love your content.
Yeah, we love it. And he said something, but you were about to do the whole hairstyling thing.
I was about to pivot again.
With the hairstyling thing. And just to give you guys clarity, I don't too much like, once I plan something, I don't too much like coming off of that plan. So we were planning on doing this. We were planning on starting this about a month ago.
Yeah.
But kind of delayed. Angelica was talking about getting back into doing hair. She sent the email out and all these things. And after watching Myron Golden, I went and used the bathroom. And then while I was using the bathroom, I prayed. I'm not a prayer.
You are a prayer. It's just not long.
It's not long.
It's intentional. Your words are minimal.
Right. It's intentional. And it's not, I don't, I guess, run to God like it's a genie, like he's a genie. So I prayed. And then the next day, Angelica comes to me and say, you know what? It's not working out the way I thought it was going to work out. So I'm just going to go do these few little people's hair in California. And then we're just going to stick to the plan that you had set for. So, it's very important to keep God at the center of decision making. She's better at it than I am.
No, now I'm gonna pause him, because the direction when we first got together, I was very clear about who God was in my life, and it's gonna look different. I have a more intimate relationship. It looks more intimate. And I just want to encourage the wives or even the husbands that may be in more of an intimate relationship or feel like they are deeper with their relationship with God. My grandmother raised me to have a relationship with God is to treat him like your friend. He is in relationship with you. And so I never wanted to be like preach at him. I wanted his walk to be his own walk, which when you got baptized, that was on him. I didn't even get baptized with him. That was his thing. It was nothing. I supported him in that particular journey. And your walk has been for you. Right. It has to make sense. But what I love about the fact that I'm a little bit more intimate with God is one of my prayers as a wife. I started to pray, Lord, help me to see him how you created him to be, not for what I wanted him to be. And so I had to let go the version of what I thought a kingdom man looked like.
Mm.
And because you make up these versions, especially if you grow up in church, you're like, oh, they need to be this, they need to be that. And there were certain things that Terrence has said 100% that I'm like, that is a God, like God is answering my prayers, because it wasn't even something that I told him about. It wasn't anything like that. So for those who may not, in your marriage, it looks like you guys are so strong. Maybe you're still battling with fighting, with praying together, not fighting, but praying together and doing all those different things. Walk your walk with your Heavenly Father, and before you know it, you will see, because this unity, this is what God is after right here. Unity, even if this doesn't work, right? Even if this is like the starting place for growing into something greater, right? The goal is that God is after unity, because when I started studying the word, and he talks about closing the bride and the bridegroom at I think it's in Jeremiah. We're not going to get Bible study here. I'm just giving you the basics of it.
Well, some of it might be.
Yeah. Some episodes. But when he cursed the land, and one of the things that he cursed was the bride and the bridegroom, shut them out. So there was no marriages during that time. God intended for marriage. I'm like, out of all the things that he would shut, he's God. He doesn't need us, but he created us in his image. So when your marriage is solid and you are on the same page, the road is just, as long as God is here, even if you go to the left, you're going to go to the left together. Even if you go to the right, you go to the right together. That is important. God wants your unity. And that's the power of what I believe a healthy marriage is. Whenever there's discord, it's because we're not on the same page.
Yeah.
That's it.
Pretty much.
And we're either trying to pull somebody to see our way. So now I don't even be wasting my gums. I just be like, Lord, if this ain't your plan, shut it down. That's it. That's your son. You created him. You molded him. You made him to be with me. And I'm supposed to be with him. If I'm wrong, God, this is how we talk. Show me that I'm a hot mess. I'm all over the place. And God will use, he prayed his prayer. I didn't even know he prayed his prayer.
Yeah.
Until we had a conversation.
Yeah.
I was like, guess what happened today? I was talking to so-and-so and just giving me some word of encouragement. I was like, I was so off. And it was just like, that's the trick of the
that
enemy.
Conversation came
24 hours after.
Yeah.
And then when I told him the conversation, and I was like, no, we need to get back on track. We need to do this. I may not have the clarity, but God has the clarity. And he was like, well, I'm going to have to tell you something. I prayed last night, and it was simple prayer. And this is God. So yeah, God is he's the G. Okay. Do it his way. It's not that it's going to be easier. It's just you fight different.
Right.
Your belief. He just shows up in little ways. One more thing. So this morning, when I was getting the kids up today, I'm like, oh, it's December, right? I'm like, neither one of them has been sick, right? And I was just like, I remember at the beginning of the school year, I said, Lord, I don't want to be dealing with these kids. This is their last year in school, we agreed upon. And I said, please, Lord, I just don't want them to be sick, time and time again, because when they were going to school, they are constantly, both of them would just be getting sick. It's like a petri dish of like, you get sick, I get sick, and then it's all the whole household. And so when I was walking downstairs, Genesis said, Mommy, we haven't been sick at all. We've been going to school all the time. And it brought me back to the prayer that I prayed like this morning. I said, Lord, just cover them. And so I said all that to say that keeping God, even at the smallest details, down to your kids, down to your business, down to all of the different things, I'm like, it's just going to be easier. It's not that it's easy, because this is not easy. It just becomes easier. It's just an easy.
When was that? Last year when you went to that conference?
Yeah, I went last year.
So I'm not going.
Yeah, I think it was last year. It's been a year. I know that.
It's funny because this year the kids haven't been getting sick, right? So last year when you came back from the conference and you started putting oil on them, they both got sick.
Very sick, throwing up, vomiting, all this other stuff.
So I had said, be careful. I didn't say nothing more because I know how she takes her relationship with God. I didn't say anything more than be careful what you're putting on those kids.
On our kids.
On our kids.
Those kids.
Not those kids, but on our kids. Because it can cause them harm. And sure enough, they got sick.
Yeah, they were getting sick.
They were getting sick left and right.
Yeah, and it was
Mhm.
I didn't put 2 and 2 together, but it was like vomiting, it was a lot.
And so, again, just because I'm not as churched as she is, or I don't have I have a relationship with God, but it's not as deep and intimate as
It doesn't look the same.
it doesn't look the same, right? But there are some things that come to me, and I don't go deep into it. I just say what I need to say, and then that's it.
Mhm.
And so, just because you don't have the same type of look or walk doesn't mean you can't speak on something that you feel, because God put that into you.
Because this is your family. He's given you the mandate to cover this
Right.
family. And that's something else I had to start realizing. He's the covering of this family. And so my job as his wife, as his helpmate,
Mm.
is to continue to be the watchman for this family. If I'm getting up and praying and interceding for what I'm believing God for, or what he's believing God for, different things like that, then that's this is this you that makes us a unified front, right? It doesn't have to look the same. So I don't know where you guys are in your walk as a relationship with God as a united front, but I know that your prayers, God hears you. Um, I know that even if it doesn't look, the thing that I believe that a lot of married couples maybe in church
Mhm.
is that they're so church that they don't show you another version of what it looks like.
Right.
And I think that we buy into, oh, he's saved and sanctified and filled with the Holy Ghost, all of that stuff. And it's like, it's intimate. A relationship with God is intimate. It doesn't have to look like everybody else. It doesn't. And I think that's the power. You can be private with your relationship with God. Yes, I tell everybody, listen,
And I'm private, so
and he's private. I tell people all the time, I don't walk around and say I'm a Jesus lover, but I do know that as soon as I can't not share what God has done, or if someone comes to me or meeting a stranger and they always tell me all their business. I don't know what it is. It just say it don't matter what race, what creed, what age, how old, young, nothing. They just be telling me all their business. And it's my natural nature to just, did you try Jesus? Like that's just my natural thing. Um,
but the way you carry yourself and your actions also speaks.
yeah, I don't have to say
You
anything.
don't
It's
have
just
to you don't have to necessarily say, "Oh, I walk with Jesus," or
mm-mm.
you don't have to say that. It's just your actions, how you hold yourself accountable.
Thank you, though.
Uh, yeah.
Yes, that Jesus glow just be glowing.
On that note, we have went way past the first
You
time.
guys enjoyed this
Yes, we
episode.
really do hope that you enjoyed this episode. There's more to come, more conversations like this. So be on the lookout. Hopefully you guys like it, so you can go ahead and like, subscribe, go ahead and share it, put comments, and also feel free to add any subjects that you would like us to touch on. Again, we are not experts. Um, and we haven't made millions of dollars. We're not coming from that aspect or that angle. We're starting from the ground and building something together as a unified front. So just always keep that in mind. You're going to see the behind the scenes. You're going to see family time. You're going to see our highs and our lows while building our consultant agency. So um, just hope you guys continue to enjoy and continue to come and watch us.
Yes, we'll see you on the next episode.
All right.
Bye.
Peace.